saying. So good evening, everyone. Tonight we're talking about goal setting. This is week 3 of our 12-week course. Tonight we're talking about personal mastery. And that's a very subject near and dear to my heart. I'm going to go through some slides with you, and then I want to show you a couple of things. I actually took something that's called a practice mastery class. I think it was 2 weeks ago, and we talked about self-mastery, process mastery, and then influence mastery. And if you're going to continue in a business of sales or even in life, you want to make sure that you have those things really down pat. And it's important that when we talk about mastery, we're understanding there are really 3 main components. Tonight we're talking about self-mastery, and I don't see anybody here who's under the age of 21, so I imagine you have done some work on yourself in your 30, 40, or 50 years or more of being on this earth. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to come up with a way for you to feel successful, at least during these summer months, and also to be able to move the needle for yourself, for your life, and for your business. And I think when I started talking to people about why this was necessary or important, I got a lot of different answers. But what I heard over and over again is that this is information that nobody was really talking about. So that's why we're doing this. So let me share my screen with you. So I am Elena Yordan. This Zoom class is being recorded, and it will be posted on several different Facebook pages. The number one is Yo Oil's Oil Camp alumni. Many of you have gone through Oil Camp, or you've had team members that have gone through Oil Camp, and so they can pick up this class and listen to it sometime during the week if they didn't get a chance to get on or weren't able to get on tonight. Always say thank you to our Presidential Diamond team. It's super important that we understand that this is a group of people that are just dedicated to supporting us and to supporting you, and that they work very, very hard, and that all of your efforts really on my behalf, on behalf of this entire team, are greatly appreciated. So tonight we're talking about self-mastery and how you want to use it to achieve your goals. Now, there is a component to goal setting that is all about self-mastery. When we talk about different aspects of goal setting, we're going to drill down really closely into self-mastery, because some of the goals that we need to achieve have to be about mastering the self. Many of those are, when we talk about habit goals, we talked last week about classifying goals into 2 different categories: habits or achievements. And a habit is something, obviously, that you are going to try to incorporate in your life on a regular basis. And when we talk about habits, we can talk about anything from exercising to drinking water to stopping smoking to having any sort of routine, getting up at a certain hour every day. Those are all habit goals, and they can really help us if we're able to incorporate them into our general self-mastery. So this is a quote that I've been using every week: plan your year, design your days, and achieve your biggest goals. When we talk about annual goals, we want to make sure that you're setting powerful goals that are motivating to you, and that our goal for you is that you begin the process for achieving them. So, and I've said this now, this is my 3rd time saying it, the number one reason people fail to achieve their goals is their lack of visibility. So we tend to either state a goal out loud, or maybe we write it on a scrap of paper. What I'm encouraging people to do is to get a system in place whereby your goals are in front of you all the time. Now, I was actually gifted with a journal. A journal. I actually don't have a picture of it here. I think I have it later on. And on my birthday. And for those of you who have been following on the morning webinar and on the Facebook pages, you know that this is my birthday month. If you can believe it, I actually had another birthday cake tonight. So a group of ladies from my prayer group, I got into prayer group tonight, and they said, "Oh, and we have a cake for you." And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to come back and do my class. But it was really sweet, and we kind of rushed through our normal routine, and then they had a little cake for me, which was really super sweet, and I greatly, greatly appreciate it. But one of the things that having your birthday does, it helps you to focus on your year ahead. Now, I'm lucky enough or blessed to have a birthday that's at the halfway mark of the year. So if I didn't set a powerful enough goal on January 1st, I get a second chance at the halfway mark. And for me, that's super important. I feel like every year I get 2 chances to set a goal. I've always been very goal oriented. That's sort of my personality or my makeup. I don't know where it comes from, if it's from my parents or something just the way I was born, but that's always been my makeup, writing things down and trying to get through and to really achieve those goals. And I feel that when I look back at old notebooks and journals and things I did in my life, I have achieved a lot of the things that I set out to do. However, I don't know if I ever had a process by which I could honestly set up those pins, set up those goals, and then knock them down. And I feel like with the new process that I'm using, I am honestly making so much more traction than I have ever made in my entire life. So we're talking about self-mastery tonight, and we're talking about several aspects of self-mastery. So we want to break your self-mastery down into 5 different components. Number 1 is physiology, so our body and action. So when we talk about our physiology, we're talking about everything from whether it's exercise or eating or drinking a certain way or behaving in certain ways that keep our physiology healthy and strong. I would venture to say that in this category would fall things like taking your LLV or making sure that you are using certain oils when you feel a certain way, diffusing on a regular basis. All of those things could fall under physiology. Second aspect is our focus. Are we continuously distracted? There are studies that show that actually after having used either a phone or any sort of electronic device, that electronic device actually has, I'm going to call it stickiness for want of a better word. I don't know the exact term, but I know that the research has used a similar term. So if I am reading a book, let's say, and I'm completely absorbed in the book, I haven't done anything else but read all afternoon, and then I pick up my phone to see a text message or an email message or whatever it is, when I go back to the book, the residue, the stickiness of the electronic device is actually still in my brain. It's upsetting my brain waves, and I will not be able to concentrate on that book in the same way that I was doing before I picked up the phone. What's interesting about this is that it takes almost 20 minutes to get rid of that stickiness and to get back to concentration. So what's the lesson here? 2 things really. Number 1 is when we're trying to concentrate or do deep work, we want to make sure that our electronic devices are unplugged or they're on airplane mode or we're not using a computer. I frequently set up a meeting with some of my top leaders on a regular basis. We'll get together and do some work together. And when I do that, I say to people, please put your phones away. We want to make sure that this is a phone-free zone for the time that we're in this room and we are really trying to do some deep thinking. So where is your focus? Can you develop a habit of focus? Can you begin to set timers for yourself? One of the things, a technique that I've used for many years has been setting myself timers. So I'll work for 45 minutes, then setting a timer, and then I'll take a 15-minute break. But when I take my 15-minute break, I actually don't take a phone or electronic break. It might be a quick exercise break, a bathroom break, a water break, a snack break. I might even read something else or talk to my family, but I try to stay as much as I can away from electronics and screens. And I can usually get 4 or 5 cycles of that, 45 minutes working and 15 minutes off before my brain kind of says, okay, enough. And I was actually able to do one of those longer deep work sessions this weekend and made so many inroads. I spent long periods of that time just reading and focusing. And I found that by eliminating the screens, I did so much better. Our language, our self-mastery, how are we communicating? And we're going to go into greater detail of this when we talk about influence mastery. What's the language we are using? Are we using positive images? Are we doing good listening? When we're talking, are we communicating effectively? What is our language? And if we're not aware of what our language is, maybe we need to begin to study it. What do people say about us? Put yourself on a tape. How does your voice sound? What's your cadence? Are you mirroring the other person that you're talking to? All of these things are important when we talk about self-mastery. Limiting and empowering beliefs. So now we all have limiting and empowering beliefs, right? We might believe that we are beautiful, or we might believe that we're ugly, or we might believe we are successful versus I'm a failure. What is our self-talk? And those can be our beliefs. They may be things that we brought with us from childhood, or maybe something that comes up just out of the blue. We never know where these limiting and empowering beliefs can come from. So we want to make sure that we're reinforcing as best we can the things that are going to empower us and then empower our team. Because if we feel down in ourselves, that down in our heart, if you will, we haven't mastered that feeling of I'm a failure, I'm an imposter, I'm not worthy, I can't do this. If you haven't mastered it, your team will never master it. And frankly, it's going to be hard for you to go out and teach your team that they can do it and to motivate people to do even better than you. And the last thing is your values. And these are tricky. These are more like your history and what you've been taught. And your values can be anything, and they can be positive and negative. We don't always realize what our values are because sometimes we think of things like honesty and integrity or courage. Those are all wonderful values. But there may have also been things that we were taught as children, like money is dirty, or women shouldn't work, or women shouldn't work outside of the home, or sales is a dirty word. You know, we may have been taught these things, and we have to really begin to bring them to the fore and unlearn them and begin to have sort of positive messages flooding our brain so that we can begin to master ourselves. The easiest way to get rid of some of these limiting beliefs is to basically force them out with so much positivism that they really have nowhere to go but away. And that's one of the techniques that I've used. We all fall prey to sadness or feelings of imposterism or I can't do it, all sorts of things like that. But the more we focus or bathe our brain, if you will, in positive messages, the easier the self-mastery becomes. So now let's talk about concrete ways that self-mastery and goals are really dovetail together. So number one on the hit parade, and I put this first, is time blocking. Now, I know when I say this word, some people are saying, oh my gosh, not again. She's on that stupid bandwagon of the time blocking. I don't want to do that. And that's all very well and good, but I will tell you this. If you set your work hours between A and B, and for me, it's usually between 8 a.m. and about 5 p.m., except on Mondays now when I'm doing this Zoom class for you all, I think we can all admit that we do better, we relax more, and we feel better when we're trying to just block out our time during the day, and we don't allow our time to just spill over into every single hour of the day, the week, the month, and the year. Self-control. Do we have aspects of our character that we are not controlling? That goes back to goal setting. Can you set a goal for yourself that helps you to master, to become more in control of yourself? Seeing yourself clearly. This may take some reflection. It may take some asking. You may have to do a little, almost like a little survey of what other people think and feel about you, and ask some trusted colleagues or trusted friends or family members, what do I do that, sabotages me? An examination of conscience. This is a very Christian principle, but I think it's important when we think about each night or each day, stopping at one point in the day and saying, what have I done that maybe is not at its highest level, doesn't honor my maker or my knowledge that this was not the best. I didn't perform to my best today, and I let myself down, and maybe I let my God down. And so that idea of examination of conscience each and every day is an important aspect of goal setting and mastering the self. And then finally, daily rituals. And this is the idea that we try in many ways to repeat the same actions each and every day. So for me, that means getting up at the same hour, praying at the same hour, having certain rituals in terms of drinking water or taking LLV or whatever those things are that I do on a daily basis, but making sure that I actually now begin to write them down. They're not as much unconscious as they are conscious. And when I clearly identify what my daily rituals are, I'm going to begin to become more effective. The last thing I want to mention to you are our 6 human needs. And actually these needs kind of balance each other, which is why I put the rock with the 2 sides on it. So certainty and variety. We crave as human beings certainty. We want to know that we can come home to a certain place and that we have people around us that love us. But we also crave variety. Sometimes we want that new restaurant and we want something different to happen. But we also need to balance those. And within our new human psyche, some people prefer more certainty and other people prefer more variety. My husband, interestingly enough, when there's some quizzes online that you can take to determine where you fall on the scale. My husband shows up as very high in needing certainty, and I show up as very high in needing variety. But they say opposites attract, so that's a very good thing. Significance and love and connection also balance each other. So you may want to be significant, so you want to be famous, or you want to write a book or have people recognize your name, but you also have that need to be connected to others and not to stand out all by yourself. And the last 2 that are balanced are growth and contribution. So we want to grow, we want to get bigger, we want to feel more that we're expanding and that we're getting onto that next level, but we also want to have that sense of I'm contributing, I'm serving, I'm in this for the long haul with other people. So when we're setting our goals, we want to look at things that determine our self-mastery, but also the human needs that they are meeting as we begin to set those goals. Here is my goal planner, my full focus planner. I've been showing it to you for the last couple of weeks. It comes from a company run by a man named Michael Hyatt, Hyatt, and he has several books out. You do not have to use this. This is what I am using though, and I'm finding great results for it. And if you go to fullfocusplanner.com /start, there's actually a series of 12 videos that you can use to get you started and to really help you plan out your goals. If you are great with a piece of paper and a pencil, that's a terrific thing. But I truly recommend that you get started on some sort of a planner or something that's going to help you set goals and achieve them. Okay. Number 1, what are your goals for the remainder of 2019? Now, I have heard from some of you, and I've also helped some of you rework and tweak your goals so they're getting into that smarter format. Remember, you want to list your goals in terms of what category they fall into, and we've gone through these categories week after week. You also make sure that your goals are in the smarter format. I'm not going to go through the smarter format again, but if you want to DM me your goal, I will be going over with you exactly what the smarter format is. So take a screenshot of this if you haven't had a chance to up until now. Goal achievement. We've seen this chart now for the last 2 weeks. Unwritten goals, you can see that group 1 falling in just not achieving too much. And then group 5, not only writing down their goals, but keeping progress reports. That's where I come in, folks. This is kind of a unique opportunity for me to do some one-on-one hand-holding, mentoring, whatever you want to call it, and kind of walking you through this process. I know that you're going to be able to achieve your goals this year. What I'm trying to do is to give you the tools, walk through it with you, and also help you to really become accountable. When we think of accountability, sometimes it seems like almost like a dirty word. We don't really love that. It sounds like someone chastising you. I don't love the term accountability partner, although I know some people do. But I think it is important for us to be able to have open dialogue and conversation with other people and really work on what are our goals. Talked about written goals. We all know that we're fooling ourselves if we're suddenly thinking that we're going to achieve a goal because we write it down on a piece of paper. We know that that's not true. It's going to take going back to it and readdressing that goal and the steps we need to get to that goal on a regular basis. We also talked about 90-day achievement cycles. By focusing on a 90-day achievement cycle, you aren't overwhelmed by planning and tracking 12 months at a time. And I actually have a great book for you that I'm going to show you at the end of this call that's called The 12-Week Year. And I didn't get a chance to take a photograph of it. I'm just going to show it on the screen, by a gentleman named Brian Moran. It fits in beautifully with the Full Focus Planner and really beefs it up a lot. So what's your homework? I'm still hammer at home. I've heard from a couple of you, a few of you, but not everyone. Please send me, private message me or direct message me your goals. Go to ElenaYordan.com on Instagram and Facebook and follow either my personal page or the Instagram page. Post a comment about what you learned today, and please tag 2 friends. This is going to be an ongoing process, and at the end, what I really want to do is I want to have some sort of big celebration, a reward, if you will, for everyone who's gone through this process and gotten to the end. Okay, you know that because it's still my birthday month. We actually closed one of our giveaways today. We gave away the wonderful water cube diffuser, which looks like, I don't know if you realize this, it looks like the pavilion in the Beijing Olympics where they did the swimming, and you can look that up. Actually, I should have put a picture of that. Maybe I'll do that on the Facebook page, with a pink pepper. And my favorite blend that uses pink pepper is called Iconic. It comes from the Mother's Day kit from a couple of years ago. 4 drops of frankincense, 2 drops of pink pepper, and 2 drops of lime. Love, love, love this blend and use it all the time. Our winner this week was a lovely lady named Angie Veloso Rosales, and she completed each part of the challenge. She was randomly selected, and we're so proud of her. Thank you so much, Angie. I don't think you're on the call tonight, but this has been posted on our Facebook page, congratulating her. So this giveaway's over, but stay tuned. Our next one is just beginning. Tomorrow, we're going to be announcing another giveaway. And I see as we gain momentum, people are jumping in and really getting everything done. So it's really super cool. Okay, don't forget your Wellness Box program. This is your monthly LRP for June for celebrations. To find this or to find this image, you're going to go to ElenaYordan.com. You're going to scroll down on the home page. The images are changing every month, and each one is calculated to be at least 150 PV. So we're going to be editing the image, and you can basically pick those products, throw them in your basket, or help somebody else to do the same. July is going to be all about bugs, just letting you know. Okay, remember, you are amazing. No matter what you say or do, it's all good, but I'm just helping you. I'm challenging you to get to that next level. And please, thank you for being here, and have a wonderful week. Oops. Okay, I am back. We're going to talk for a few more minutes. I'm going to open it up for a few questions. How's everybody doing with sending their goals? I've heard from a couple of you. I'm not going to call you out here, but for those of you who are new this week, please feel free, send me your goals. I want to see what's going on. And I said this before. Oh, here's the book, by the way, The 12-Week Year. Loving this. Super short. I think it's like 120 pages, 150 pages. It's really short, and the print is like this. It's giant size. What I love about this is it's a great companion to goal setting, because what it basically says is, if your year was only 12 weeks long, how much could you get done? How much would you basically force yourself to get done, because you would know that the year was ending, right? You'd want to be able to get in there and just get as much as you possibly could done. So I took my copy out of the library. You can see I've got my little papery slip from the library in it, but I got halfway through it on Saturday, just in maybe 45 minutes or an hour of concentrated reading, of course. But it has been really, really good. I know that some of you have sent me your goals. We've had a chance to rewrite them. What I'm looking for is, once you had a chance to rewrite all of your goals, your 7 to 10 goals, that you're ready to show me that whole list. So if you've done 1 or 2 and you got to get back, but I'm going to keep hammering this home. Next week, we're going to be talking about process mastery. So we talked today about self-mastery, very important. When you talk about goals, you talk about leading a team, you talk about being successful in life, you need to shine a light, a flashlight, if you will, into those darker corners where you're not mastering yourself. Where are you letting yourself down, or where are you not telling yourself exactly the truth? And where do you need to say, you know what, I really have been avoiding this thing, I'm going to get on it. However, I'm going to counsel you to do something, which is when we think we want to solve a problem, sometimes we think we're going to throw everything at it and do it all at once. I'm going to challenge you to maybe begin to, especially if it's a long-term habit or goal that you've had, or a long-term habit of non-self-mastery, to break it down bit by bit. So I'm going to use weight loss as an example, because that's something that comes up again and again and again. When we talk about weight loss, it has a lot of different components. We can talk about exercise. We can talk about drinking water. We can talk about avoiding certain foods or tempting foods or food groups even. But what I find is people will say, I want to lose weight. And then they'll say, and I'm going to do this by exercising 3 days a week, drinking 70 ounces of water, eliminating all carbohydrates, running on a treadmill, lifting weights, meditating in the morning. It becomes overwhelming. So we're talking about habit goals. What I'm going to challenge you to do is pick one good habit that would help you on your road to weight loss. And the one that comes up again and again and again is drinking water. Water can be a great substitute for food because it gives you that sense of fullness. It's not a substitute completely. Obviously, eventually you're going to have to eat, but it gives you that sense of fullness, so maybe you don't quite eat as much. That's number one. Number two is can be a great substitute for other more sugary beverages if you tend to drink more sugary beverages. Water can be a great hydrator. It makes your skin look really good. It helps all your organs to function properly. Terrific for your kidneys. How much healthier would you feel if you were able to master that one skill? So if you are a person who's saying, I need to lose 10 pounds, I need to lose 10 pounds, let's break it down by skills and let's make one of those skills a habit goal. Now, you could decide to eliminate one food group, like let's say, I don't know, starchy carbohydrates. Let's say pasta, or maybe only bread was a real temptation for you. Would you be able to eliminate bread only for 90 days and keep track of it and scratch it off each day that you didn't eat bread? I think that would be a lot easier and probably a lot more productive than trying to say no more carbs, no more sugar, extra water, and so on. We're still human beings and we still really need to be able to break things down. And so don't give yourself a goal that's so enormous and so broad that you're not going to be able to take on other things. Now, there are times in your life when you may have to take on a giant goal. If you recently had heart surgery and your doctor says, look, you have to lose 20 pounds no matter what because your heart is in jeopardy. Really, your life is in danger. You're going to have to take every measure that you need to be able to achieve that goal. But then we're talking about doing that to the exclusion of other things. And trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Many of you know that my husband actually had quadruple bypass surgery 4 years ago. And after that happened, we changed a lot of the things in our household and in our diet. And he was the number one leading the parade, just basically saying, I can't do this anymore. I have to start a new life. But it also meant that we had to give up many other things to focus on the goal of good health for my husband. So if you are not quite at that point, you may want to take your weight loss goal, if that's your goal, and break it down into smaller bites. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. You can type them in the chat. I always try to keep these calls short because I know you've had a long day. I've had a long day. And I don't know if you necessarily have something to say. If you could just give me maybe a thumbs up or a yes in the chat. Was today's talk valuable to you? I'll give you a minute. Okay, you're really quiet. Oh, so physical. Okay, great. Great. Okay, terrific. Okay, so when you talk about physical therapy to stabilize the joints, You want to be really specific when you're talking about this physical therapy. How many days a week, how much time each time that you go, and for, let's say, 90 days. So make sure if that's a goal for you, you want to make sure that you are being very specific about what you're doing. Okay. So I'm going to actually, if there are any questions, type them in the chat for me. I know this was a real eye-opener for me too. When I read this book, I really stopped. And when I started working with my focus planner, I actually don't have it here because I ran in from my prayer group, as I mentioned to you, started using the focus planner. It opened my eyes to the amount of time that I was basically wasting every single day. And the other thing that I find is that even things like errands are getting done, because even the craziest thing, I'll give you one last example and then I'll let you all go. A friend of mine, her son graduated from high school, and ordinarily what I would do is I would say, or I'd write it down somewhere on some scrap of paper or maybe my phone, I have to buy a card, I have to buy a card, I have to buy a card. And so this time I had a list of all the cards that I needed to buy. I bought the card for the boy. I stuck a gift card in it, and then I put it inside the focus planner, which I've been dragging around with me everywhere. It's like my new baby blanket. And today I happened to see this woman. It was so amazing. And I thought to myself, and I've got the card right here. Ordinarily it would have been in my house or on my desk, and then I wouldn't want to mail it because it had money in it or whatever, but I had it with me, took it out of the focus planner, gave her the card, bingo. And you know what? It feels like a win for the day. It's just a silly thing, but man, it feels really good. I feel like checking those boxes, I'm checking them off, which is really sort of a great feeling of satisfaction. So look, I wish you all a wonderful week. Please direct message me and I'll go over whatever goals you want. And honestly, like I said, this is a unique opportunity for you folks. This is a small group. We're going to be doing this every week. We are going into week 4, so we still have quite a few weeks left. And I want to start hearing, what are you doing? Is it working? Do you by next week, we should really start hearing some feedback from you. So maybe what I'll do is I'll post in the chat that I'm looking for feedback from all of you. Have you started on your goals? Are you waiting for something? And what is it that you're seeing? So thank you so much for being with me tonight. Have a wonderful week. It's a Monday, so today is Motivation Monday. I've been trying to listen to different speakers, and somebody said it's Mastery Monday or Motivation Monday, which is a terrific thing also. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you all back here again next week. Bye-bye now.